How to WoodCarving and I, Rubellano here, carvingsforeveryone.com, and in this video is all about how you can carve better eyes. This is a video series. This is a lesson number 5, and in lesson number 5 we're going to focus on the eye. We're going to focus on how to create the pupil, how to create the better iris, and how to clean the sclera, and how to clean everything around the eye. We're going to finish this eye, and we're going to make it nice and pretty like this right now, so you can learn all about how you can finish the eye. In particular, we're going to work in this, like when you see this drawing over here, you can see the white spot, that's the white light. So we're going to create that in our eye over here, so you can see that will give you more life to your wood carving, especially the eyes. So let's continue watching this series about how you can create better faces in wood carving. Welcome back to our class number 5. Class number 5 is the final class of how you can make a beautiful better eyes in your wood carvings and your stone carvings. So in lesson number 1 we went through the how you can draw the eye. We went and created this drawing from a photo, how you can shadow the eyes and how you study before you do the carving. Lesson number 2 and 3 we rough it out. We get the shape of the eye. Remember, this is bigger, and we just do a relief carving, so it's not completely, because we need it was a 3-dimensional, we need a little bit more pieces for the nose, but it worked for our purpose of this video. And lesson number 4 we define inside the eye, like this to this point right now. And lesson number 5 is the final lesson that you've been waiting for, when we're going to work the inside of the eye. We're going to clean it all up, and it's going to look nice and good. So to make this, most of the carvers always leave the eye, they can leave the eyes flat without anything, or sometimes they cut a little ring over here and make this a little bit deeper. That's only what they do. But we're trying to make it more photorealistic. To make it more photorealistic, we have to make the pupil deeper, and that way it will be darker. With the light come, the reflection of the light is going to get darker because it's a deeper area. And after that, the iris, we're going to make it like a down like this. So this is the pupil, this is the iris, and this is the sclera over here. So the sclera will stay the same. And the main secret when you do a painting, when you have a painting, you can look at every painting. When you look at the eyes, you will see this light. This is a reflection of the light. That's what gives you the life in the eyes. So the reflection of in the eyes, in the amniotic fluid, is going to reflect through the amniotic fluid. It's going to go to the bottom of the iris, and it's going to look lighter. We cannot do the lighter in carbon, but we can do the best. So to make the eye more realistic, we're going to leave this part over here. So this part over here is going to stay kind of the same height of the sclera, and that will look like look different, and the light will be more bright in there, and the eye will look more alive. So we're going to make sure that the sclera is nice and clean. Like I showed you before, you can make these lines with this chisel. Just use the tip of the chisel. You can use the tip and make your lines deeper over there. Remember, this is pretty fragile now. You can break this part over here. You prime it too much up. So the best is just cut it like you use a knife, and cut it with a tip. You can leave that part for the end after you carve everything out, so it's less fragile. Over here, the medial canthus is just the little part in your eye that's kind of pinkish color. Remember, this is a step-by-step class. on how to carve better faces, and we are focused using the eye. I divide the faces in different sections: the nose, the eyes, the mouth, so forth. And that way you learn every part of the face. And that way when you work in one face, you know how to apply each part. It's the same like when you go to carving, when you go to school, like art school, you're going to drawing, learning. You're going to do each section separate, and that way you can master each one. You dedicate every part, like over here, you dedicate every part to study one part of the face, one part of the body. Over here, if I continue, it's going to crack that way, so I have to change my direction because the wood grain. When you see that it's going to continue going, you have to stop and come from another open direction. So this is looking good. Over here, this has to be kind of rounded, and behind this is going to go like that, a little bit rounded, not that much. So to do that, we can carve a little the line over here. Not too much, just a little, just a little bit. So I already set my line over there. I can use a number 2, a little bit gouge. Sometimes you can slide your chisel like this. You know, that's what I'm doing over here. I can slide in my chisel. And that way I don't go too deep. Because I only need to take a little amount. And remember that, make sure the crease is lying above the eyelid, between the eyelid and the upper part of the eye. So that you make sure the line is nice and clean, and you want to make sure it's nice and flow. Instead of go zigzagging, there's in the sculptor, in carving or in sculptor, when you have lines that are zigzagging, it doesn't look nice. You wanna, when you look at a classical sculptor or any of the masters of sculptors, like Bernini was a Baroque sculptor, but when you look at his work, you can see that the body or the lines in his carvings, they are flow, nothing zigzagging. So you, like, if I make this line too much zigzagging, it's not going to look that good. So you're trying to make a perfect line, and that will look more nice and clean. See, one solid straight line, because when somebody is going to look at your carvings, and the zigzagging is going to stop you, the viewer, to continue looking in a different direction or continue exploring your carving. That becomes like a stop when your carvings itself. Okay, that's kind of good for now. So now we have that part. We have this clear, kind of clean. The rest we can do with sandpaper. We do the same over here. We clean the bottom part. Now we can do you can see the line over here of the bottom eyelid. So I don't want to go too much. In this one I can use because I have more space, I can use a little round gouge. This is a real curve, but you can use a little bit less. Maybe I don't want to go too fast because I want you to learn, and usually when you do details you don't want to rush it. because you don't want to mess it up after you've been working for a while. So take your time, don't rush it. So now what you be is good enough for now. Sometimes you can go, this is not a clean, you can go backwards like this, but you can see you make kind of dents in there, but or you can use a file, also sandpaper. So we are getting pretty close in there, so now we're going to work in this part of the eye. That's what you've been waiting for. So to do a circle, so you're ready to draw it with a pencil, we're going to save the line over here. This part over here, we're going to save it so it has to be connected to the square, so that way it doesn't fall off. So what we can do is you can use this chisel as well. Remember, you're going to break it that way, you don't want to break that way, so you're going to try to save this clear. So you're trying to save this part like it is. You don't want the wood to come this way, so you kind of break it that direction. We don't worry about too much of the pupil right now. So to do the pupil, we're going to create a circle. So to create a circle, you can use your gouge. You kind of go all around in a circle. You can create this circle. This is going to be a little bit smaller than what I wanted, but I'm just going to show you. See? But I think the size is going to be kind of this size. Remember that you're making a carbon, and you want your person look mean. You can make a small pupil. You want the person to look better, more pleasant. You make the pupil a little bit bigger, and that way it will look much better. So like that for now. I don't want to make it too deep until I do another part. So that's how you can make the round with the gouges. This is a number 8. This is the one I always use myself, the tool I use the most. And now we're going to work in this. I can use the number 8 as well. So now, because we already established the line, we can carve this down, but just remember to save this part over here. Remember, the light can be over here, is depend where the light source is coming from. Remember, I just drew the pupil like that, but I knew that the pupil is going to go deeper. I was showing you how to make the circle. You was wondering why you look kind of flat now, but just trust me. Always make sure to make a stop line over there, because I don't want to break my upper lid. So it's looking pretty flat right now. You probably wonder look uglier than before. Well, that's the magic. Now we're going to use a more flat chisel like this, number 2, or 3, or 4. One of those will work. Or if you don't have one of those, you still can make it with that number 8. and I just had to work it out more and maybe use some sandpaper. What I'm trying to do is trying to make it like a shelf, like I draw over here, like this. So in that way the light reflects and they are different than another one. And then in the center, I come over here, this is the sclera, there's the iris, there's the pupil. So I go up a little bit over here and I'm going to go down again. Like I say, it takes time. You don't want to rush the detail part because that's how you break pieces off. Like over here, if I rush this part over here, I can break that, so I don't want to do that. That's most what happens when you do a wood carving, especially in a small size carving, like a 2 inches, 3 inches, or 4 inches carving, or even smaller, because you're trying to create this and you carve it out and it kind of break this part of the eye. So, and then after that you have to glue it up, or it becomes difficult to finish. Remember to make sure this is nice in the circle. What I'm doing right now, I'm trying to create a more sharp edge. So you have to watch the wood grain. The wood grain was going that direction, over here the same. I had to watch that wood grain right there. It's giving me a little trouble. Remember, this is a step-by-step class, so bear with me if it's going too slow, but I'm trying to create the details for you, and that way you know what to do when you do your own eye. So I want you to watch all the way to the end, and that way you can see the final result. So it's looking better. So you're trying to create the same kind of effect of the gouge inside your eye. Maybe you can use, after we're going to use the same paper, and it will look nice and clean. So we have the light in there. So now we're going to redraw the pupil again. Make sure it's right in the center of the eye. That's where it's important to use. Some people was wondering why I take measurements. It's going to take longer to take measurements. You use a template, but you get the first one you can put it that way. But because I already have my drawing exactly in the middle, that's what I use the template over here to take measurements. And there's a little is another little extra time, another step more. But I know that my pupil is going to be in the center related to another eye, and that way it doesn't look funny or it doesn't look proportional. So that's the idea, was to make it in the center and make it exactly the same. So the idea is when you have most of the idea the purpose of using the compass is when you're ready to create this eye over here. When I do finish this eye and I'm going to carve this one, I know this one is a little bit higher, so I use this to take measurements, so this one will look exactly the same spot in the face. So because sometimes you carve it without taking measurements, one eye is going to look up or lower than another one. So you don't want that to happen because your face is going to look crooked and it's not going to look correct. So it's a good idea to have a tool to take dimensions, and it's a little extra time, but by the end results, it will look much better. So right there's the pupil again. We can go with a number 8 again. We draw our full circle. Most people say, why do you not use a drill? Well, I don't want to use a drill because it can break the edges. And it's more natural using the carving chisel than a drill. That's my opinion. See, what I try to do is the inside of the pupil, it's not just flat inside there, it goes like this. It's not like that. It goes round like this. Because when the light is going to come there, it's going to reflect in the bottom of the pupil. And that creates an effect on more dimension and more 3-dimension. So that's why I don't want to use a drill, because most of the drill will be flat. So it's looking better. Now we know that I can make this a little bit deeper over here. I'm trying to create like a ring. Trying to create a little ring around the pupil like this. This is a number 8. You have number 7. 7 and 8 are pretty close. When I purchased mine was about number 8 instead of 7, but I had some 7 is this, I use it the same. So you wonder what's the difference between the why gouges are deeper and another one are not deeper. For example, if I carve it over here, the round gouges is going to create more texture, more deeper couch, because when you have the wood grain, when you cut it like this, the wood grain, you kind of go in between the wood grain, and that way, there's less chance to split it. But you will have more work by the end of the project to clean up, because you're going to have more little lines with the deeper gouges than the smooth gouges. But there's less chance to continue breaking when the wood grain, you will have less chance to split the wood because you cut it in between the grains. Like this is your grains like this, you come with the gouge, you can cut like this, so you cut in both sides. Or even you cut it this way, you cut in both sides. When you have the wood grains like this, and you use a more flat gouge, you're gonna cut less, so it's a chance to split. That's where most of the round gouges are better or more easy in that way. So let's continue working inside the eye. Like over here, as the wood grain goes that way, so my gouges is kind of cutting like this. So it's helping me with that. So you can see we can define this. I want to create like two lights. You have a reflection for two different areas. So make sure use your straight chisel or your angle chisel like this one. Most of the time I use the angle more than the straight. I don't use the straight that much. Most of the time I use this one. I have a few straight ones, but this is my favorite. That's what I had, this big one. I use this big one a lot too. And over here, so we have the light, so to make sure that they continue, the pupil or the iris continue, we can make real careful. You can use a big tool for this. Sometimes I don't use big tool that much. I'm mostly using it for when I carve in the hair. So I'm going to give you the idea that this light is inside the iris color. So that's what I create in this surrounder like this to the iris. See, so I made it like, now it look like it. I made it a little bit inside. If it looks too big, you don't have to make it that big. You can make it smaller. And to give it more three-dimensional, you can do the undercuts a little bit. Remember, when you do undercuts, don't prime like too hard like that way. I use iron primer. I just taking the little things out, because if you prime it, you will have a chance to, like if I prime that way, I will have a chance to break this part out. That's what a good idea is, to cut under. So I think we are pretty close to be ready. I'm gonna sand it out. Remember, you can use sandpaper or you can finish with your tool. I'm just gonna sand paper because I don't have much time in the video. So remember, if you had to recurve something, you had to watch for all the little particles of the sandpaper. That's the problem with using a sandpaper, that you got these little particles, and when you need to curve something else, you will damage your sharpness and your chisel. So inside the iris, I'm trying to create like I leave the tester in there from the carving chisels, but you can redo more. You can use a small number 8 or something like that. And when I cover it, you can create this little tester like this. I can show you a picture of what the eye look like. You can see the colors and then all the lines and strikes inside the iris. So that's what I'm trying to recreate over here. Also, you can use this little for the Dremel tool. So you can see inside the eye, they have the different texture and different colors in there, and the pupil is kind of deeper and dark. Now you have it. There's the eye right there. Thank you for watching this video. I'm glad you make it all the way this far. And I'm glad you watched all this video series. Now you are becoming better every day. And with woodcarving, remember, to become better, you have to practice. Now you know how to create a better pupils, how to set the pupil in the center of the eye, how to make it deeper so that way there's more shadow in there, and how you can create the curve in the iris, and that way it will reflect the light and it will look more realistic. As well, you have to how to create the light spot in your eye, and that way look more three-dimensional. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please share with your friends. Maybe somebody up there want to learn wood carving. They're looking for something to learn, or they want to create better eyes or better faces. So share the videos, and that way everybody has the chance to learn for free. Also, I'm going to create another extra video. There's going to be a video about this over here. This is a wood stain. It's a special wood stain. And I'm gonna color the eye with different colors. I'm gonna make the eye this clear white, maybe some blues for the eyes, or maybe the black for the pupil, things like that. So I'm gonna color that, and I'm gonna carve the eyebrow. So I want to share that video in my website, carvingsforeveryone.com. So to do that, to watch the video, I want you to go down into that website and sign in as a member. It's a free membership. It's for nothing that costs you anything, and you just go there and you will have access to that video, especially that video. And also all these videos that I'm making, all these classes, I'm going to put it there as a course, as a tutorial, so you can go here and there and watch those videos. So instead of go all over the place in YouTube trying to find the videos, you just go to my website and all will be right there. And an academy is going to be like a woodcarving academy, a woodcarving school, and that way you have access to all those free video courses, and that way you learn woodcarving, and you can go back and forth and watch those videos. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it for all your comments down below. I get a lot of comments, and that's pretty great, a lot of questions. So you can come give me a comment, ask me a question, and also, like I say, you share with your friends and go down and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.